Hi, welcome to the Five Petal Podcast. It's been a while. I took a little hiatus. I figured, okay, that was season one. Now I'm going to do season two. And it's good to take a break. I needed some recalibration. I don't really know what I'm doing until I'm in the middle of it and I'm feeling it out. So that was great just to try a few things. And it's going to be a lot more of the same, but now I know what it's like to have a podcast and I'm feeling it a little bit differently. I realized partway through that process that who I'm speaking to is caregivers. I want to really focus my efforts to be in service of the helping professionals like therapists, nurses, doctors, teachers, and of course mothers as well. So yeah, it's that heart for service that I really want to speak to because that's what I have. And all of my work has been about finding out how to organize myself internally so that I can be of service, but that I can be of like the ultimate service because I am so strong inside and my internal self is sustainable and honest. So that's why I want to work with helping professionals. Another reason for that is helping professional work. It requires a lot of education and academic education. And, while I don't doubt the value of that at all, with the industrialization and of it, it's lost some humanity, I think. So my learning has been in oral tradition and unschooled and totally outside the academic or industrial or conventional system. So what I have to offer is kind of a older, more ancient sort of human strategy. I guess that's a good way to put it. Yeah, that's just where I cozy in, and that's where I feel that my magic lives. So, yeah, I'm here to do my part to help the world come together and to make sure that we move forward in a good way. So that's my little update on how I'm conceptualizing my offerings. Because here's the thing is I really want my life to be worth something. I mean, it's already worth something. I want to do good with my skill and with my focus. Like I feel like I want to give to the world. And some really great wisdom that I got from, I don't even remember who it was. It was an activist, but she was talking about how to show up in these times. And she said, like, don't just go start your own new thing necessarily. Like, look for the people who are doing what you want and see how you can be of service to them. So I have always wanted to be a counselor. I went into music for school for some strange reason, probably more of an energetic calling. But I've always wanted to be a counselor. I've always wanted to be a psychologist or work in that field. So I see people who are doing that and who are emboldened to do so by our culture and by health insurance is set up and everything. And I want to be of service to them. I want to be of service to the healers. So this is my way to bridge the gap and bring earth wisdom to the people who are interfacing with the public in that way. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so today we're going to talk about women's circles. I'm really excited because I just announced my first like in-person women's circle, not at my house, not at a friend's house. It's actually like at a shop. It's at a place called Wicklander's Roots, and it's in my little town, Marysville, Washington. We'll meet on the third Saturday of the month from 6 to 8, and you can get tickets. I'll link it below. You can find the event on Facebook or go to Wicklander's Roots and ask them, ask me. We'll get you there. But just going back to what I was saying, like find somebody in your community who is doing what you want to see and then ask what they need. So Julie, the owner of Wicklander's Roots, I just think she's so cool. She has this herbal apothecary, and she grows and harvests her herbal medicine, and she's so friendly, and she wants to just be, you know, the little wellness nucleus of the town, which we need. And she sells like really beautiful handmade local items, and she's just really eager to talk about magic and medicine. And she homeschools her kids, and she runs another couple businesses with her husband. So she and I have a lot in common right there. And I remember when I first met her, I was bringing in a flyer for a mother's retreat a couple of years ago, and it was my first week of business as an electrical contractor. My husband and I have an electrical contracting business, and it was scary. It was like, we weren't doing it because, oh, we saved up all this money and now we can build this business. It was like, oh, like the work fell through. These are hard times. Like we need to just do our own thing like now to feed ourselves. Like it was that kind of an introduction into business. And I was scared, and I went in with my little flyer, and her husband was like making salves in the back, and she was up front, and they told me like, you're gonna do great. They said, you know, it's freaky now, but a year from now, you're just gonna be so glad that this is what you're doing. And I don't know if I've really gone out of that stage of like, oh my God. But I have. I've got my sea legs. Like we have our clientele. We keep making improvements. It's gonna be good. But anyways, she is so cool, and I want to support her vision. And she put out a request for people to offer classes in her herb shop because she wants to invite more community in. And I went and I told her, I was like, there's all sorts of things I can do, all sorts of crafty, magical things, energy work. Like there's lots of stuff I can provide. What do you need? And she said, I need a woman's circle. Yes. And what do you know? That's like my favorite thing. So I just figured I would have a podcast about women's circles. So women are not the only people who are allowed to circle. There can be circles with men and women. There can be circles that regardless of gender, or just only men or only teens. It doesn't matter. I know women's work. I think that, yeah, men benefit a lot from circling. And I have sat in circles with men. However, just as a facilitator, I'm not feeling really zhuzhed up to hold a circle with men in it yet. Because my work, it's so physical, and I love to talk about hormones and the whole feminine experience. And that's just where I go as a facilitator. So, you know, I love and respect men so much that I have this idea that they need something else and I don't have it. So I really I would hope that any absence that I leave of a place for men would be filled by a male facilitator. That's my take on it. Just for me personally. So why do we need circles? Well, a circle is like a placeholder of time. It's like if you can imagine a bowl holds soup, a circle holds time and energy and intention. And we need this because life is just relentless, like nonstop. We need this soul tending. We need a place to deepen and focus and be together in a way that just normal day-to-day life makes it hard to do. Like a couple weeks ago, I was just over at my friend's house visiting her, and she's going through a really hard time. And, we would love to sit and talk about what's happening in her life, but she's just kind of like putting bikes in my car because I'm going to take her kids for a run. And she's like giving me a little update, and her kid just breezes by. She's like, "Hey mom, do a cartwheel." It's like, you can't deepen when life is going on. Like, it's just not the time and the place. So we need a circle where it's just us and we get to sit with a certain understanding of what life is and just take a minute. And the circle is medicine. The circle is a place to see and be seen and mark this point in time and to have a small evolution inside. Just a little, like, here's something new from somebody who is also channeling spirit in that moment. It's a moment to reflect a little bit more. It's a moment to call in the elements in prayer: earth, fire, wind, and water, and let them help with the movement of this time. Calling in guiding spirits, reading into the oracles. Like, just take a minute to recalibrate, kind of like what I was talking about with pausing from my podcast. Like, I just needed a minute to feel into what this is. That's holding circle. But a circle isn't alone. It's with other people. And so not all circles need a specific facilitator. I facilitate circles, and I also go to circles where I am not the facilitator. And I go in circles where it's just like, we all know what's up. We're going to sit down and have a circle. Like, who's going to start it? Who's singing the song? What are we doing? It's great how different circles will have their different cultures and their different sort of environments of what's in it. And the longer that you circle with people, the deeper you get to know them, and the more richness, and you can say, well, I heard you say a year ago that you were done with this and now you just picked it up again. Things like that. You can really hold the thread for the people in your life with this circle practice. It's like it sticks in your memory a little different. But the facilitator holds the vision of the group, and they hold a certain level of depth. And I think a circle can kind of only go as deep as the facilitator is willing to go. What makes me feel comfortable facilitating is that I feel so natural in a circle, and I know what it's like to feel connected to the people in there. I know how to kind of bring us into it. I know how to ask questions, to invite someone deeper. And I've just been doing it for a while. So you just kind of learn the mood that you like. And I have my medicine that I offer. And mine isn't the only kind of medicine. Mine is not what everybody needs all the time, but my medicine is mine and I want to give it. So I hold circle. And what makes circle different from like a class is that the facilitator is curious about how everybody else is doing. It's like every member who sits in the circle is co-creating it. And the facilitator knows that every person in the circle matters and they hold a piece, a unique piece. And the work is to invite those and hold them in counsel. Not that everybody needs to talk necessarily. There are some people who are there to witness or to just exist in the same moment. That's fine. It's very loose, but it's so special. So reasons for having a circle. Well, at this point, I hold circles, my own private little circle on the new moon because I want to mark in time every month. I need to make another intention. I need to check in and see this chunk of time as a certain thing. A month feels like a good steady clip. And I get some different people coming to my house every time. And I love that. My intention for the 5-petal circle that I'll be holding at Wicklander's Roots is to help the community get to know each other in a deeper way, and also to talk about the 5 petals of the Well Woman's Rose, which I believe is a beautiful framework for overall wellness. So at our first circle, we're just going to talk about getting perspective on our lives, on the whole of our lives with the rhythms of nature. We're going to talk about the different seasons of our cycle, of the day, of themes in our lives. And that's just one way we're going to tap in and get to know each other. So I'm really looking forward to that. But the facilitator holds the intention. Maybe it's a blessing way to bless a birth. Maybe you just had some sort of news, like maybe you had a divorce and you want to hold a circle and a ritual to mark that time of saying goodbye to that chapter in your life. Maybe a child moves out and you want to hold circle to commemorate that. Lots of different reasons for circling. Maybe you just miss your friends and you need some company. The whole point is that there's an intention and you're coming together in a different way that's not just like drive-by, chatty, whatever, getting things done. You're getting things done in a really deep way. Circles are so great for carrying a community. Thinking of, there's a circle that kind of turned into a class at this point. But I've been meeting with them for 10 years, and the class relies on us being in depth with each other. So it's like, it's a circle class, and we're learning about Wilhelm Reich's characterology, just the different woundings that could be in the chakras. And we're spending a year on each chakra wounding. So we're just finishing up the heart space. We're going to the throat next. Excited about that. But anyways, when I first saw the poster for it, I was scared. I thought, oh, that's intimidating. I don't know if I can sit in a room of women and like be really present. It honestly scared me. But where I was at that time, I had just moved to this town and I didn't know anybody except for my in-laws and my husband and my baby. I just moved here and I really needed friends, like so badly. And so I went there to meet women and it opened up an entire world for me. And I'm still involved in that same group, and a lot of my friendships have blossomed from there. I learned so much about being a mother from the women in there, just watching them and, you know, getting to know them, being at their houses, finding women who interact with the earth and the world and their emotions in this way. It was really formative for me. So of course I want to share that, and I want to open space for that for other women, 100%. But I was just going to share a personal story. So one of the women who goes to this group, and she has for years, we had a very serious personal conflict, and it involved both of our families, and it was incredibly painful. I'm going to say this was a little over a year ago. It rocked me, it rocked her, it rocked our families, it rocked our group of friends. It was a big conflict. And because of the container of the circle, we actually survived it and came out with lessons and deeper knowing of ourselves. And it was, at this point, I can say it was a gift. And she and I didn't only know each other in the circle, like we lived very closely. Our kids were in the same homeschool programs, and there were just like, we shared a lot of the same friends. So she was like kind of everywhere in my life. And you want to just like cut and run away when there's with this kind of thing that happened. But I couldn't. I mean, I could, but that would be losing so much. So I had to be carried by the circle. And my conversations about this, working it out with other friends, because we have this template of the circle and of deep sharing and respect, our friends spoke to us in a way that honored both of us. I felt like it was never, when I talked to another friend about it, it wasn't like a total bitch fest. We never tore her down. I doubt that anybody tore me down. It was all about growing as people. And I'm so grateful to have this group of friends and this circle. And I backed out of everything else. I didn't show up for the homeschool activities because I didn't want to see her. I pulled out of other things that she was in. And the only thing that I saw her in was this circle. And we slowly just tiptoed back into a friendship. And this is what the world needs. The world needs a way to meet that is held and respectful and honest. It was completely honest. Like there's no, secret, okay, I'm just going to shut up about this and never talk about it again. No, like we're still going to be talking about it for a while probably. But I'm trying to highlight the power of a depth circle and of a community that holds each other without being too vague. Just trust me, it was a big conflict that I'm surprised I moved through. And actually, she was just at my moon circle last night, and I was feeling so grateful for this group of women. Like this was different from the other one that I am in with her. This was just my own little private girlfriend new moon circle, and she came and she's been coming and she's welcome, and we have a way to be together. There's a certain element of safety and a certain leave your weapons at the door. We're just humans looking at each other in the eye. That is what I like in a circle. What's that Rumi poem? There's a field beyond right and wrong. I will meet you there. That's what I like in a circle. So if you're listening to this and you can't come to my circle, or you don't want to, and you want to make your own, I say, good, please do. And these are some of the elements of a circle. So like I said, you need to mark the time, drop in, know when it starts. So once everybody's there, you need an opening. I like to open with a drum or a song. I'm going to actually sing a song for you right now. And you might recognize it. I learned to sing in the oral tradition just by ear, and so songs change and move as they get passed around. So I put my changes in, and here it is. Souviens-toi, milliers. Souviens-toi, milliers. Souviens-toi, milliers. Souviens-toi, milliers. I hear the voice. I hear the voice. I hear the voice of my grandmother calling. Stand in your power. Stand in your power. Stand in your power, daughter. Souviens-toi, milliers. Souviens-toi, milliers. Souviens-toi, milliers. Souviens-toi, milliers. Yeah, so there's more verses, but that Souviens-toi, milliers is Lithuanian. I like to sing in the language of my mother's tongue to call in my maternal line. So that's something really fun to do, is to use an ancestral language. It means love together. And that's my medicine that I bring. It's that Libra South node. Like, we're all in this together. And then the Aries North node is, but I do what I want. So that's what I like in a circle. It's like everybody is who they are, and we're all together. So yeah, opening with a song. Last night, my opening was I just beat the drum and we all kind of sang oohs, ahs, just whatever you need to do to shake it off, step into the next layer. You can greet the elements. I'm pointing over here because I lit my little elemental altar. There's a rock for earth, and there's bone for earth. There's feather for air, candle for fire. I have an oyster shell for water, just to help with our alchemy of what we're doing in the circle. And then I like to have a check-in. If it's a large group, you can split off into little bits so everybody can just presence themselves. Like, this is what I'm bringing in. You don't have to hide in the circle. You can bring your whole self and just acknowledge it and be seen in that. So check in. How's everybody doing? And then, if it's a new circle, it might take a little bit longer to introduce like what it is. I like to state the intention of the group and also give some cues to what the culture of the group is. Just a couple things that I say with people who I'm circling with for the first time, or maybe it's been a while, is I ask that everyone treat each other with integrity. what's shared in this circle, like, don't go put it on blast everywhere. Like, just let people have their privacy. And then my other big one is share from your own experience. Don't tell somebody else what to do unless they ask for advice, or if you say, can I give some advice on that? You know, just be careful about that part, because that's kind of a little too square world, normal stuff. Like, we get that all the time. Well, you do this and you do this and you have to do this. It's like, no, we just need to be seen and felt and experienced. And if someone wants advice, that is perfectly reasonable. But it's just, know that it's not a granted that you can just jump in and tell somebody, oh, well, you should try this diet. It's like, no. Because, like, after a while, like, you see somebody who brings something vulnerable and then they're just pelted with like all these different pieces of advice, and they're just like shrinking more and more into themselves, and maybe it's not even what they need to do. So yeah, this is mutual respect, to share from my own experience and take ownership of your contribution. So then once everybody is feeling like they're a part of the circle, you know, we keep deepening more and more. You have the meat in the sandwich. Like, why are you here? Are you here just to set an intention because this is what you do for your soul tending and you're just here at this time of the month? That's cool. Then work on that. Are you here to bless a birth for a blessing way? Do those rituals. Are you here to address an issue? Maybe your community is facing an issue and you really need to get together and find out what to do. This is when you have those sorts of rituals and sharing from the heart. Maybe after the discussion, everybody takes a turn and says their takeaway from the circle. Okay, I will do this moving forward. Or maybe you need some sort of spell work that you like to do, like write intentions and burn them, or bury something. You know, you can do all sorts of things, and there's plenty of ideas for that scattered about, but just, you're doing your meat right in that point. And then closing. Thank everyone for being there. Thank you for what was said. Thank you to the earth for holding us. Thank you to the elements for alchemizing us. So you make a nice container, because the container will become more and more potent as you hold it, and there will be better and better medicine in it. Like yesterday, I was so happy that after a super busy day of racing around with, like, I had 5 kids in my car and a dog, and like I had, you know, just did a bunch of like boring tax work that morning before that, and then I was like through rush hour, like coming to clear some blackberries so we could have room to have the circle, and then people showed up and it's like, oh, we already had this potent group. Like, I didn't have to work that hard to get into it, because we already have our medicine together, and that's a beautiful thing that you can cultivate over time. Some really great books if you like books. There's one called, and they're both loaned out. I was looking for them on my bookshelf to read up a little bit before this podcast, but they're in other hands and I don't know whose, but that's okay. Okay, one book is Calling the Circle, The First and Future Culture by Christina Baldwin. That's a great, I mean, and that's specifically for this kind of circle that I'm talking about, like ancient oral soul tending work. And the next one that I really appreciate is The Art of Gathering, How We Meet and Why It Matters by Priya Parker. And I got this concept. My biggest takeaway from that book was the concept of generous authority. And that's what I think about whenever I am involved in any sort of planning process of a gathering. It's like, we need to tell people why we're coming together. We need to tell people what we're doing and what we're not doing. And it's not a controlling thing to do this. It's a generous thing, because then people can relax and we've done the work of calling the circle. So yeah, my advice is don't worry about being everybody's cup of tea for your circle. Like really, I don't know, 4 to 10 people is a perfect size. And I just love to think about if every woman who wants one has something like this to go to, just imagine all the connection, the magic. It could really just grow, because women are gonna give that shit right back to the world. Like, we can't help it. So I would love to see more and more circles pop up, and in person too. Like, you need the flesh of people. Like, I do want to run online groups at some point, but really, like, the in-person is just like where it's at for me so much. So if you are a person far away or close by who has this desire to bring this to your community and start a circle, and you're nervous about it, or you have some sort of like wounding, like maybe you have a difficult time getting close to other women, maybe you've been betrayed, maybe you're scared, maybe you just think you're not enough to do something like this, please reach out to me. I would love to work with you. These books are great, and hopefully they embolden you, but also, like, I know there can be some really, really tender issues deeper inside, and I just want you to know I love you, I see you, and you have medicine inside of you, and I'd love to work with you. So either way, share this with a friend who you want to start a circle with. Send me an email telling me what your takeaway was, or any questions, or maybe tell me something that you do in your circle that I didn't even talk about. Like, tell me what they're like. I want to hear it. It sounds so exciting. Like, we can have different cultures, right? It's just that same principle of humans being with humans. That's what it's all about. Okay, till next time, take care. Thanks for listening. If this spoke to you, give it a like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. To discover which of the 5 petals is asking for your care right now, take the free 5 petals assessment at bridgetvercano.com/self-assessment. In closing, I'll leave you with a favorite phrase I learned in Circle. What's mine is mine, what's yours is yours, and what's ours is ours. Until next time, be well.